And again, for those of you, many of you have already experienced a little bit of Jerusalem because you were there one night, but you haven't gotten out.
The army, and with agreements with Jordan, have allowed them to open the security fence down at Bethabara. You call it Bethabara or something, I don't know. In Hebrew it's Bet Harava. Bet for house, Arava is the name of the area. And so I'll never get the other name right, so I just call it Bethabara. But now that we're able to go down there, for a while we could go down with special permission from the army, and they would open up the fence. It is in sight because we hold both sides of the Jordan. Yeah, the last group was actually baptized. It was a bit chaotic. This is the Jordan coming out on the left-hand side. And I promised to talk about the kibbutz in just a few moments. Eight to 9 years of age, and all the school kids, I don't know if you've seen school kids out on their sort of school outings, but all the kids older, by the time they get to 12th grade, they may go on a 6 to 23 school kids were slaughtered in a youth hostel up on near the northern border, or actually in a school, which they were using as an overnight stay when they were up doing one of their school trips. So ever since that time, school kids are always accompanied by armed guards. And so, of course, the armed guards were not allowed to take the guns across the security fence. You know, they went to visit, and they were on the island of peace when the soldier up at the watchtower over there opened fire, killed 8 of the little girls outright, seriously injured many of the others, and it was a traumatic experience. And of course, the armed guards didn't have their weapons. They were on the wrong side of the security fence. And so, I mean, King Hussein himself, he was really, I mean, he was literally devastated that a person, a soldier within his legions would actually open fire on unarmed little schoolgirls. He came personally to Israel and, you know, to ask for forgiveness, basically, from the families. He went to the families in the town of Bet Shemesh, a small sort of town in those times, just outside of Jerusalem, and in many of the we've seen them when we saw them in the distance, when we stood on Megiddo, looked through the Jezreel Valley, and we could name off the different mountains all the way around us. Remember, there was Carmel behind us, and there was the Galilee to the north of us. To the end of the valley was Mount Tabor, and then there was the hill of Moreh, and then there was the him. His armor bearer refuses to do so. Remember, I mean, Saul is the first king of Israel. Israel was never supposed to have a king, but she wanted to be like the other countries around that all had kings and so on. And so Saul was chosen. He stood like a head and shoulders above everybody else. He was probably an impressive sort of figure, but he certainly had a few sort of down the body of Saul and his 3 sons, take them across the Jordan, and they actually burn the bodies. It's the only time you have in the Bible this cremation, really, of a one-room little house. This little village was all like that, all one-room little houses. You can see the bits of them still incorporated in today's much larger houses. I mean, this was the last Israeli village before you got to the border between us and Jordan. I mean, you know, they were sort of agricultural farmers struggling down here on the border, like miles from anywhere. Bet Shean also was a town that was founded in the early 1950s, the town that we came through, the Jews that came primarily from Morocco. So just like Yerucham, Dimona, where we had lunch, when I changed dramatically. They're not that interested. They're more interested in who's coming out from the West Bank area, so they stop the cars if you've got anybody that you shouldn't have in the car. They can check it easily by the number plates as well. I mean, you'll see that the Israeli number plates on the regular cars, yellow rates, it turns itself into fertilizer. That's a little tell on the right-hand side, a little hill. The hill of the tell of Bahula. You can see that that's a kibbutz on the right-hand side. I mean, it's established here a few years after the Six-Day War. You can always tell the difference between what's Jewish and what's Arab here is simply because we're always behind sort of security fences and security gates and so on because of every so often, you know, terrorist activity into our settlements and so on. On the other hand, it's not really did it as a group. And because, you know, men and women, they would go out, do the fields, farm, whatever, and then they all, because it was like a waste of time that each couple or so would go back and each one individually make breakfast and then lunch. One of the ladies, or either by the time they started to get tractors and so on, so they would buy one good tractor and everything that the kibbutz produced